Hello, good evening to you and welcome to News at 10. It's live on News Hub here at Desawe in Kanda. My name is Alfred Kansa. Around the world, you can also follow us on our Facebook stream live, our Facebook on 3news.com. Also, TV3 is on DSTV channel 279. You can watch us on all these platforms. Coming up in the summary of the news tonight. Executives and other supporters of the National Democratic Congress (NDC) Friday stormed Parliament to protest against the laying of the report of the Joint Committee on Defense and Interior and Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs regarding the Security Cooperation Agreement between Ghana and the United States of America. The Right to Information Bill has finally been laid in Parliament. The Speaker referred it to a joint committee on constitutional, legal and parliamentary affairs and communications for consideration and report when the House resumes from recess. The coalition of stakeholders on energy concession agreements is demanding reasons for the shift in the deadline for the Millennium Compact deal from September to December 2018. At a news conference in Accra, executive member of the group, Dr. Steve Mantel, agreed and also argued that acceptance of the French electricity conglomerate, EDF, will not be in the majority interest of Ghanaians. Danger looms as the Ramsar Basin, designed to receive huge volumes of water after rainfall in Accra, is being filled up with sand by private developers. Consequently, the Engineering Council of Ghana has warned of massive flooding in Accra if the basin gets blocked. Now, the Bank of Ghana has indicated that over 700,000 depositors of distressed or collapsed microfinance institutions and rural and community-based banks are at risk of losing a total of 740.5 million cedis. Reacting to this pronouncement, banking consultant and lecturer Dr. Richmond Echiahene is saying that the regulator must exert its authority to prevent a total collapse of the banking sector. And on the international front, armed police have killed a suspect who shot dead 3 people in a series of attacks in southern France. The heavily armed gunman hijacked a car and then took hostages at a supermarket in the town of Trebe. The man, named as 26-year-old Rodney Lakdim, said he was fighting on behalf of the Islamic State group. That's more on 3news.com. Let's settle down tonight on News at 10 for the big one. To the big one tonight, government has restricted the importation of frozen chicken. According to the Minister of State at the Presidency in charge of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Jile Nura, this policy direction is to help revamp the local poultry industry. The ban on imported frozen chicken, he indicated, is in response to the cry of domestic poultry actors that the trade practice is one of the major challenges collapsing the local poultry industry. According to the Ghana National Association of Poultry Farmers, GNAPT, over 135,000 metric tons of frozen chicken was imported from the European zone to Ghana in 2017, representing a 76% increase over 2016 imports. The minister, however, hinted that government will not hesitate to reverse the import restriction on frozen chicken if local producers are unable to meet the demand of the market, thereby urging local poultry producers to redouble their efforts to address the artificial shortage. Now, so let's go into the telephone lines now. And Napoleon Ajimanodro is the Vice Chairman of the Ghana National Association of Poultry Farmers. Mr. Odro, thank you for your time. Good evening to you. This is what you've been calling for quite a while. It must coming as a point of satisfaction for you, right?
Good evening to your cherished listeners, and thank you very much for having me tonight. I would say I'm not too sure where your source of this publication is supposed to be. I guess you read it on the net.
Absolutely. It's attributed to the Minister of State in charge of Agriculture, the presidency. Yeah,
I have read it, and I just ended a consultation with my chairman. He was addressing a poultry fair in Sunyani where he made mention of the ban of importation of chicken.
Precisely.
As players, we haven't sat down, we haven't seen a document to that effect where government says, I have banned importation of chicken. First time we heard it was at a program, and colleagues that could not attend the program also read it on the net as to the minister saying that, So we just want to say that, we have come a long way. The poultry industry has suffered a lot for the last 30 years, that initiatives will have to go through some consultations and get to a stand where all players in the value chain will have to agree to one thing or the other. So it's a shock to have heard that. Of course, we have been asking for that, but our wish would have been that we all sit at the table and conclude that this is the way forward.
But Mr. Do, I want to find out from you, what kind of consultation, and I just want to find out, what kind of consultation were you expecting from government or the Ministry of Agri before this announcement was made?
My brother, I believe we have mentioned to the whole country that for the last 30 years, the poultry industry has not received the needed attention, which is to say that the industry is not on its proper stand. And as a result, we are having almost 95% of the chicken we consume imported into the country.
True.
So all is not beautiful with the industry, okay? If you talk of the value chain, we're looking at it from, say, hatcheries to feed mill to the poultry farmer providing the floor space for the birds, the processing and distribution and consumption. The question is, as a country, have we made enough investment on the value chain so that we say, look, we ban it tomorrow and we can supply all we need? It's a good thing. We need it. But we should be able to make the investment. We should be able to prepare ourselves for the big task ahead of us. 250,000 metric tons of chicken into the country. You can't just get up overnight and say, I have banned that, even though we need that. Before you get there, you need to make sure you have prepared yourself very well.
No, so,
300,000. Yes.
Right. I just want to find out exactly, what kind of preparation are you talking about? Because from what I do know, this is what, first of all, you've been calling for. Government has heeded to your call. Now, you're saying that you should have been prepared for this ban. Is that to say that you cannot meet the local demand, and so you probably should have been given some time to be able to expand your produce before this ban?
Well, but look at it this way. When we talk of planting for food and jobs, right?
Right.
Look at the steps that we took. Look at the programs that we had around the policy. You know, the minister could come and tell us we are moving from this point to the other. Here, my point is that is it not a surprise for us to have heard the minister say it at a program in Shinyani? Is there no way we could launch a program to say Ghana Poultry Improvement Program, which will spell out the modalities to achieving some amount of success in producing the chicken that we consume in this country? In any case, if we're talking of about 250,000 metric tons of chicken into the country, that is close to about 160 million birds. The question is, can we get all these day-old chicks in the country? Again, do we have enough feed milling capacity for all this? Again, do we have the floor space? As for floor space, I can guarantee you, because there are a lot of empty coops all over the nation.
So I wanted you to answer those questions. Can you answer those questions for me?
Yes.
I mean, the questions you are just posing to us.
In most cases, we don't have enough in these areas, okay? We don't have enough in these areas.
Right.
So to say that you are giving us the chance, and if we are not able to do it, you would not hesitate in reversing the situation. I think it seems there's no plan yet.
Right.
It seems there's no plan yet, because it is not a poultry farmer's issue. If I can recall, in 2014, the then Minister for Livestock, Honorable Anabishi, we launched the 40% spend, 40-60% in Ghana.
Right.
There were few things we asked government to put in place, and government refused. Okay. And only 300,000 birds we held in Kumasi. I mean, it could not travel over 2 months. Okay? Right. So what we're saying is it's not a bad thing to initiate to ban importation of chicken into the country to enhance local production. It's a good thing.
Right.
But remember, there is a caution that if you are not able to supply the quantity we need, you wouldn't hesitate.
Right.
Which means, as stakeholders, we must come together and put our eyes right. We must put all we need in place so that we say, okay, poultry farmer will show you the challenge. Go ahead, produce, and let's see what will happen in this country. I can guarantee you we can do that. But in the meantime, I feel that we have not made enough preparation. Well, let's put the preparation down and go ahead to do that. Not too long ago, remember, we imposed the tax on day-old chicks, right?
Right.
Same farmers. We came out to say that, look, it wasn't going to help the cause, and it was withdrawn. This is to tell that there were not enough consultations for us to make our contribution.
Right.
You cutting it for us, hatchers and poultry farmers, yet poultry farmers who want to come out to say that, look, we want to reverse the whole thing. This is not what we want to happen again over here. Mr.
Odo, thank you so much for your time this evening. I'm grateful. Napoleon Ajimodro is the Vice Chairman of the Ghana National Association of Poultry Farmers. The caveat to this ban is that if the local producers do not meet the demand of the Ghanaian enemies, that in the next few weeks, if they review it, they would have to look at that particular ban again. We'll stay on this story in our subsequent bulletins. We'll be back shortly with some more stories from Parliament, where the minority staged a walkout a few minutes ago in Parliament. My colleague Catherine Frimpoma has been sitting through the parliamentary proceedings. Remember, Parliament is going on recess today, and they've had an extended sitting which just ended a few minutes ago. She's going to be joining us in studio to give us a wrap of what's happened in Parliament so far. Welcome back to News at 10. Now, the minority in Parliament staged a walkout of Parliament, washing its hands, literally, of the Ghana-US Military Cooperation Agreement. The NDC legislators do not want to have anything to do with that military agreement, saying it will mortgage the country's sovereignty to the United States. However, the agreement was ratified. Now, that's what's happened in Parliament. The sitting just ended a few minutes ago. We'll be joined on the telephone very shortly by Executive Secretary of the Bureau of Public Safety, Nana Akwada, to have a discussion on this. But Catherine Fimpoma is my colleague. She sat through a parliamentary sitting all through the day, and that is very characteristic of Parliament. On the last day, there's an extended sitting, and you spend virtually 24 hours there. Catherine, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us in studio this evening. Great. Now, it just ended, sitting just ended a few minutes ago. Minority staged their walkout. Yes. But before we get there, were there any changes made at the committee level to this agreement?
Yes, that was what actually generated a whole controversy. Because after the chairman of the committee submitted a report, he wanted to go ahead to read the report so that members could have comments. Right. But the minority wanted to make some corrections before he goes on, and the majority did not agree. And so it led to some singing of patriotic songs here and there. And so the speaker walked out, and then the leaders followed. They had the meeting for about 5 minutes. And then when they returned, they resolved the issue and agreed that the chairman of the committee will read the report. When he finishes, another member will second the motion. Then the minority can make the corrections that they wanted to make. The correction was nothing major.
Let's get into the specifics of the corrections they made.
Yes, so the ranking member of the committee, Honorable Agalga, made correction to the conclusion. The conclusion remarks of the committee. And so in line 1, he added, the line was reading before the amendment, the committee has thoroughly examined the agreement and finds that its ratification, blah, 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 but he ratified it and added that the committee has thoroughly examined the agreement and finds by majority decision.
By majority decision.
That is what he added. And then in the second paragraph of the same conclusion, he added majority decision again. So it was previously reading the committee therefore recommends, but he amended it and made it read the committee by majority decision therefore recommends. So after that amendment by the minority, then the majority side, which is the chairman of the committee, also said he also has some corrections to make. Right. And so he also amended clause 6.4 of the report, which had a heading, freedom of movement of vehicles, vessels, and aircraft. It was reading previously that the committee noted with concern the unfettered access, but they amended it to read, some members of the committee noted with concern
the unfettered access.
So it looks like that portion of the agreement was not understood, or both parties did not agree to have that clause as part of the agreement, and that was the minority's concern.
So that was that specific clause of the unfettered access that the United States military, their vehicles, and the aircraft,
vessels, Department of Defense to enter, exit, and freely move within the territory, airspace, and territorial waters of Ghana. And so it was corrected that it is some members of the committee, and we picked up information. It's actually some minority members on the committee who had concerns with that portion of the agreement.
So is there going to be a renegotiation of that particular clause, or as it is?
Well, before the minority walked out, the minority leader requested that the Attorney General be brought to the House to bring them up to speed as to what her advice would be for the government on this particular case. But since it has been ratified by Parliament, then it is then now up to the Attorney General and their associated stakeholders to know what next to do about the agreement.
I see. So then it was only the majority of the House that ratified this.
Yes.
They needed a simple majority to do this.
Exactly.
Nana Akwada is joining me on the telephone. He is the Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety. Mr. Akwada, thank you for your time. Good evening to you. This report has been ratified. There were some, concerns raised about the unfettered access that the U.S. vehicles, aircrafts will have in the country. Your thoughts about how the road has been to this point where this agreement has been ratified?
Well, a very, very good evening to your viewers. I'm very sad this evening. Today will certainly go down in history as a very dark day for Ghana. Considering the amount of public outcry regarding this particular agreement and the fact that it has successfully gone through Parliament, the House of Representatives, without any changes whatsoever to this agreement, it has put us on a dangerous course. Nonetheless, being a public safety advocate, it's very important that we cannot continue to cry over spilt milk. It has indeed put us on a dangerous course. Beginning tomorrow, before even the Americans start, droving in, I think that our security apparatus would have to up their game. They should be looking at our borders. They should have some hard thinking to do in order to protect the safety of citizens in Ghana as a result of citing this base with all these ramifications, giving them unimpeded access to, our territory. I think that is a very sad day for Ghana, and I'm particularly disappointed that despite the outcry, government did not make any changes to this. This is a sad day for Ghana.
Mr. Kwada, but if you look at this, I mean, government has been negotiating this for the past 8 months. It eventually gets into the public domain before even the debate on it starts on the floor of Parliament. The posturing of government over the period to today has always been to try and let us understand from their perspective why they think this deal is important. Were you expecting any different posture by government to accommodate your views and the views of others who may not be political before this deal is ratified?
Absolutely. All over the world, that's how democracies are built. For important agreements like this, that's supposed to span over different political regimes or administrations. It's important that when such a thing comes up and citizens, experts, public safety advocates or discipline advocates are all putting out concerns. It's important that as a listening government, you withdraw this agreement and then see how best you can factor in the concerns of others or embark on a proper education drive to let people understand, because up to date, so now there are even some security experts who do not know what it means when we say the Americans can preposition military equipment and material, men, and deploy same. We still do not understand what that deployment means, just sending people back and forth our territory or firing missiles, back and forth our territory. We need to understand some of these things. And to the extent that all these things are still remain very gray areas within the agreement without specific explanations to them that Parliament has gone ahead to ratify, I think that it's indeed a very, very sad day for Ghana. And it hurts that all the efforts that civil society put in the last couple of days, government did not even heed a single concern to even change one line within the whole agreement. I think that it's really very sad, and it should not happen in Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana.
Well, Mr. Kwada, thank you for your time, and do have a good evening or a good night, as a matter of fact. That is if he's going to be able to sleep soundly, because he's not very happy about all of this and what's happened. But in the end, this has been ratified, and as it's the case, not much can be done about it unless we get clarity, right?
Exactly, Alfred.
Thank you, Catherine, for your time this evening. It's your birthday, but you celebrated your birthday in Parliament, so I'm so sorry about that. Thank you so much, Catherine from Puma, my colleague who sat through Parliament up until they went on recess just some few minutes ago with that extended sitting, as always been the case on the last day of the parliamentary sitting. So, as it is, that the U.S.-Ghana defense agreement has been ratified by Parliament. But Vice President is saying that government will be considering the concerns of teacher trainees to increase their allowance from the current restoration of 400 cedis. The leadership of the teacher trainees is demanding that government increases the amount from 400 cedis to 450 or 500 cedis to help them pay off their utility bills.
The Vice President recounted the cancellation of the trainee allowance in 2013. However, he was confident its restoration will reduce the burden on students and parents.
The issue of restoring teacher trainee allowances that was driving us in the 2016 election. It was about building a new Ghana, a modernized Ghana, and a very prosperous Ghana.
Government has currently restored the allowance by providing 400 cedis to the trainee teachers, but the leadership of the trainee teachers appear not satisfied about the restoration. It's requested for 450 to 500 cedis instead of the 400 cedis.
To the Vice President of the Republic, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to kindly and humbly restore the allowance fully, if not increment.
The student leadership again implored government to bear the cost of paying their utility bills.
The government promised to pay all utilities for students in the colleges of education. It should be duly paid by government, rather than deducting it from their allowance.
The Vice President assured them to get their grievances addressed. Meanwhile, he has explained that government will be recruiting more graduates from next month to fill vacant positions in the education sector. In another development, government is to begin the construction of 570 dams under the One Village, One Dam policy in April this year.
We will construct 570 dams. Well, if I can do more than that, I will do more than that, even by 570.
On that smiling note for teacher trainees, we want to say thank you for spending your 30 minutes with us here on News at 10. Remember, there's more news on 3news.com. We've been live on DSTV channel 279, also streaming on the internet on 3news.com. On behalf of the rest of the team, I want to say thank you. Do have a good night. My name is Alfred Akanse.